Doing today? Fantastic. Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth. I think moving forward, we're going to go to the Q&A. So if you have questions about logging on, any general questions at all, hey, Lanny's going too quickly over this thing, slow him down or whatever, put it into the Q&A, and Melissa can assist, and she is supported by Samantha, who's especially helping students, and Ashley, who's especially helping faculty. So, and Melissa can grab the lit review folks or others. Okay, so and again, I hope you have data because we're going to bang that out in this time. So we need to talk about basics. So let's just talk about basics here. First, the agenda. I'm going to go over what independent and dependent variables are, log into the Intellectus account, set up your data. People ask about that. And I hope some of the people I've spoken to over the past several days who, it was easy to kind of help, but said, I pushed you to here. I hope you show up and raise your hand and let me help you here. We'll do some analyses and how we download it and so forth. So the goal here is get some basic stuff around variables and measures, okay? And then let's just do basic stuff for starters. Create composite scores, conduct analyses, look at assumptions, look at the tables and plots. But any other and all other questions that you have, I'm very interested in hearing about it. Okay, no overview of quant is going to be useful unless you know levels of measurement. I'll be very quick. Basically, I'm bucketing all kinds of quant variables into three buckets. You're either in a nominal bucket, name only, which is male, female, Republican, Democrat, okay, and so forth. Okay, they're only labels, just labels. Ordinal, you have labels, small, medium, gigantic, extra large, gulp or some darn thing. So you have labels and you have an order data. And then the most specific has all three. It has both names, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 5 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch. It has an order, okay, 2 after 1, 3 after 2, and they're equal intervals, okay? Equal intervals. That's the key part. And lots of analyses want either interval data, but I'm going to call it interval or scale or continuous. There's nuances, but basically equal intervals, okay, is the key there. And lots of statistics are dedicated to those types of variables. And then nominal variables, okay, and things of that sort. Okay. So basics of IVs and DVs. Independent variables are typically the variable that the researcher manipulates. Manipulate's not a bad word. Here it's just saying choosing. Basically, I want to look at, the runtime of a 5K by sex. The researcher is saying, I want to look at by sex. The researcher wants to look at runtimes on a 5K by age group, over 50, under 50. Researcher selecting and deciding that, okay? What are the comparisons, okay? The dependent variable is the outcome measure. It's also called the criterion variable in regression, but basically it's the variable whose ratings or scores or time or blood pressure or whatever depends upon the participant, okay? All right. So outcome variables or dependent variables depend upon the observation. Independent variable is typically controlled by the researcher. Okay, let's jump into it. Here is the login. It's https://my.intellectus360.com/login/quant-workshop. QUANT workshop. So my.intellectus360.com/login/quant-workshop. And it's also, I see in the chat as well. Okie dokie. So while you're logging in, common problems. Common problems. After decades of this is what people come to me with. I don't know which test to conduct. Okay. So we want to use a decision tree, which you have to know the levels of measurement, and you have to know if it's an independent or dependent variable. Can help you get there, and I'll exemplify a decision tree to help figure out what test to use. How to conduct. SPSS was, my bread and butter, frankly, for a decade, okay? Because people came and said, I don't know how to use the darn thing. I don't know where the assumptions are, what the assumptions are. Intellectus, you'll see, streamlines all of that very, very easily. And what the output means, we have plain English interpretation, as I'll show you. So we've tried to really minimize or overcome those very, very common. If you have any of those questions in your brain, you're not alone. Okay, so most people come with that. All right, especially if you're in a professional program. Okay, you have one stats class, you don't have lots of experience in there. If you're faculty that did qual or you're rusty, you may have those questions. Happy to answer those. Okay, loading up your data. I think we should just get to this. We do have masterclass. I'll talk about a data cleaning wizard. I'll talk about the AI summary, and then we'll get into that, okay? So let's just load up data. And I am logged on to Intellectus, james@intellectus360.com. So if you want to share your data, come on. And I'll just refresh this. And no one shared projects just yet. Melissa, perhaps just put in the chat how to share. So while I'm doing it, so if you want to share your data after you upload it, just click on the share button and then put in my email address, james@intellectus360. Make sure you move that cursor.com. Okay, that's how you would share it. Okay, project sharing. Okay, and then click share. Okay. I'm going to do a few rounds of these things. Okay, I'm going to do kind of a quick pick a stat, conduct an analysis, download findings. Then I'll go through uploading data and cleaning. And then we'll talk about other things as well. Okay. So the quick and dirty analysis. So let's just, so one of the problems, I don't know what test to use. And let's just say I wanted sex to predict overall scale scores. Okay. All right. So, so let's go back for a second. So I want to predict a scale variable, okay, a number, okay, by some nominal dichotomous variable. So to select the test, you can go to decision tree. You can say, I want to predict an outcome. The level of measurement of the variable you want to predict is scale score. Okay. It drives you right to a linear regression. Okay. You click on the conduct analysis. You select your dependent variable, which was overall scale score. We want to say if there's if sex predicts that. Okay. So all you do is put in your DV and your IV and click calculate. That's all there is to the conducting of it. And what you'll notice is an outcome, okay, which is right here, linear regression. Does sex predict overall scale score? The assumptions are built in. The scroll over helps you interpret that. Okay. Other assumptions, outliers, And then the results are in plain English. Here, the results were not significant. Okay. Here's an APA table of that regression table. If that was significant, that is that p-value was 0.05 or less, it would have interpreted that that variable, that is that predictor sex with that outcome variable scale score. Okay, so and then download it. Quick. What do I do? How do I do it? What does it mean? Not significant. That's the down and dirty kind of how do I do things here. Let's take a little bit slower process and some broad overview here. So first of all, to get data in, I can upload data from different file formats, which I'll do in a moment. I can use an example data set, and if you all want to use the masterclass data set, that's fine. You can go to choose an example data set, masterclass, and select. Or you can paste data in from a flat, you could like literally type in here, okay? Okay, variable 2. Okay, so you can literally type in data and save, okay? Or you can paste in a flat file from like an Excel or CSV. So projects help you upload data. Management helps you manage data. Like, how do I create a composite score? Spoke to someone today. Okay, I'll exemplify that. Okay. How do I download my new data? Okay, things of that sort. You can see the scroll overs of what these things are doing, and you also have little videos in the lower left of each one of these things, a little 3-minute video about how do I do that. We also have plots, 10 typical plots, very simple to use. Click on a plot, click on some variables. Okay. By the way, notice these icons, okay? The ruler is a scale icon. The bar chart is a ordinal, okay? And the kind of Venn diagram is the nominal. Select charts, and you can kind of see for these different student grades, their different scores on three different tests. Okay. Okay, and you can label these things and you can export these things and so forth. The analysis, wide range from descriptives, all the correlations, all the t-tests, the ANOVAs, mixed model ANOVAs, repeated measures ANOVAs, did it with MANOVAs, okay? Many regressions, the non-parametrics. These are tests typically without assumptions, so, you know, chi-square test is particularly useful and used. It also has really advanced analyses like structural equation modeling and path analysis and mediation and moderation by Preacher and Hayes and things of that sort. So you have a pretty good selection going on here. Okay, the decision tree we just talked about. I invite you to play around with this. We did the prediction, but you can look at differences by groups. So let's take a moment here. A lot of people I talk to are doing pre-test, post-tests, okay? Without knowing much, most of the time that's a paired sample t-test, but let's just drill into that for a moment there. Differences, well, between groups, but differences over time, pre to post. I have one dependent variable at multiple time points. Let's just imagine you have pre-test and post-test. One dependent variable. Divided into groups, say no covariates, 2 time points. And it says pre-test, post-test. Okay, so most, particularly DMPs, you're doing paired t-tests, okay? So, and I'll exemplify a paired t-test. So it's whether you have 5 participants or 1,005, you have some measure, okay? And you're looking to see if there's differences on whatever that outcome is, pre to post. For the individual working on the methodology, you're gonna need a data plan. So if you want a data plan for a paired t-test, it's on data plan, under t-test, under paired, and you can look at that. And there's a data plan, which really should have three things. Okay, it should have what the test is, what the assumptions of the test is, and a justification. Okay. And then the power analysis. This is just fancy way of saying what sample size is necessary. You click the test. Okay, they have different sample sizes here. Without getting into it too much, first of all, it's downloadable and editable. But second of all, if you use a medium effect size, okay, that's a fair number. That's a good ballpark to put into your methodology, into your IRB application, and shooting for a 34. But people do studies with 5, okay, and find significance and meet assumptions. So fear not. If it's really a struggle to get participants, which sometimes it is, select the large effect size, because these things are determined based on what the effect size was in previous studies, but also practicality. That is, if it's difficult to find people, then it's difficult to find people. Okay. I want to do for the folks that are here, because I know a lot of you are doing paired t-tests, and I want to just do some very simple things here, okay? And I basically want to do a few things. So I want to do, pre one. Oh, let me just do this. Pre-test 1, okay, pre-test 2, pre-3, okay, post 1, post 2, post 3, okay. Oops. Most people have a 5-point Likert scale, okay. Okay. Three. Okay, so most people have some version of this, okay, which is you have some scores at pre. These are individuals, 4 individuals. They had a pre-test with 3 items, pre-test 1, 2, 3. It could be knowledge, it could be attitude, it could be whatever. And they have post-test, 3 items at post-test. And really the question is there a difference between pre-test and post-test? That's what we're doing here. So there's really just 2 tasks at hand here, okay? So one task is creating a composite score, okay? One is creating a pre-test composite score for each individual and a post-test, and then comparing those. So to do that, let me just do this because it's so common. So under management, you want to go to variable calculator and say pre-test. Okay, just going to get a mean composite of my pre-test items. Okay, so all I did was put a name in, pre-test. I'm averaging my pre-test scores for each individual, divided by 3. And voila, I have a pre-test average. Do the same thing for post-test. Mean composite of my post-test scores. Okay. Submit. Now I have a pre-test and a post-test. And really what most people want to be doing is a paired sample t-test. That is, are there differences from pre to post? So after I select paired t-test, put it in the pretest, put it in the post-test as my two variables, and hit calculate. That's it, folks. We're done. Okay. The assumption is here. The results were here. Guess what? It was significant, even with a sample size of 4. Okay. And you can see there was interpretation. Pretest was lower than post-test. APA table. That's it. This covers lots and lots and lots and lots of people. Okay. So you have to get the data in. Okay. And you have to get the data in, you have to create the composite score, okay? And then you have to just conduct that paired t-test. That's it, and download it. Heads up, you have to put it into your own voice, okay? So these are templatized output. So that phrase is published with Turnitin. All right, so that probably spoke to half the group here, maybe. For the other half that didn't get spoken to there, what kinds of things are you looking for? So let's see, Melissa, do we have anyone that shared their project?
If you did share your project, please raise your hand and then we'll unmute you and get into your project.
Yeah, and I don't see them. I don't see anything here.
Oh, here we have one hand raised. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello there. Fuyakazi?
Yes.
How badly
Good
did I mess up your
evening.
name?
Yes, Prof. I've uploaded mine, but
Okay.
using your email address.
Okay, terrific. Can you share that with me?
I've done so, Prof.
You've done so. Okay, so let
To
me.
your email address. I'm not sure that yes, whether it's still coming on, but that was a couple of minutes ago.
Okay, and you clicked share. You opened it up. You
I
emailed it to me.
didn't use this share. Sorry, Prof. I just emailed it using the old style.
Oh, so antiquated. Okay. All right, let's see what we have here. Okay. So let's just peek at what we have here. Okay. Yeah, these things do not work for me, as you could say. If you want to email me your data set, you need to export it, put it in an Excel file, and then email me the Excel file. Here you have it through OneDrive or some darn thing like that. So if you want to email me that online assessment raw data benefits, terrific. Okay. All right, while that's happening, well, let's give it a second. Okay. I mean, Melissa, I'll forward this to you. Are you able to get that going?
Are you able to email your data file?
And I'm going to forward it to you, Melissa.
Okay.
Maybe you could open it. Don't make me mispronounce your name again now. All right.
And then while we're waiting on that, if anyone else has shared their data, go ahead and raise your hand and we can unmute you.
Or have questions.
Right.
Let me see here. I think I lost my,
And we have one question about qualitative. Yes, we have a qualitative webinar every second Thursday of the month, and I'll send links to that with the recording.
And all of these things are time savers. So the quant tool, I mean, you saw how quickly that paired t-test, again, this is lots of folks, can be done. Quantitative tool, intellect is statistics. The qualitative tool, intellect is qualitative. Okay. And we have an intellect is lit review tool coming out Melissa, what is the time frame for that?
2 months?
2 months, okay. All right. Okay, so Q&A. I think I have to turn this off. So Q&A, let's see other questions here. Okay, that was just the qualitative stuff. Okay, did someone send me, were you able to send the data to me? Mamadi? And Melissa, were you able to open it or you got other stuff
No,
doing?
we need to log in.
You said-
We need to download a data sheet.
Yeah, okay.
And then anyone else that wants to share their data, if you upload it to the tool and click share, that's the best way to do that.
Yeah, we have lots of folks here, so share your data if you want to do, I mean, this is a workshop.
Or if you just have questions, you can raise your hand and we can unmute you there too.
Okay. In the meantime, I will exemplify importing data. So I'll go to projects and then upload a data file from Excel. And the data file I like to use is the Rosenberg self-esteem. So this is another way. I mean, I showed you how to create a composite score and conduct a t-test. But if you open up data into, either Excel or SPSS or CSV, it throws you into the data cleaning wizard. Because somebody talked to me this morning, and well, let's just walk through this thing. You can get rid of your extra headers. Qualtrics often has several rows of headers. You don't need those, you just need the variable names. People often have the labels of the Likert as opposed to the, okay. This is just misspellings. We kind of clean it up. Misspellings. Okay, clean it up. And then really moving into turning these, I happen to have a 5-point agreement scale, which has labels. I need to put them into numbers. Okay, so I can average them. So I select the correct scale. I select the variables I want that to change to. I apply those changes and go to next. I can add a subscale. Let's just say the pretest. Average. I have another subscale post. You can reverse code here too if you'd like. If a question is asked in the opposite manner, you can reverse code it and put it into the subscale all the same shot. Okay. And that's it. Once you're finished, we kind of go through here, and then you can have you can see your scales here. The other thing you can do is if you have an open-ended question, we have a restructured data. I'm sorry, pardon me. Text classification. Sorry. Okay, so open-ended, you can automatically categorize them. And what it will do is it will look for semantic similarities and bucket them into different groups. And here, bucketed into transformational leadership, characteristics, strategic thinking, and so forth, okay? So just a quick way of interacting between your open-ended, okay, and your and putting them into different categories. And then once you have your data, as we do here, you can do different things like conduct descriptive statistics, particularly on our new variables. Okay. All right. And demographics. You can see APA tables, a little write-up about that table. Scale variables, APA table, a little scroll over, a little summary. You can do different tests like an ANOVA. Well, is there any test that anyone would like to see before I just start doing random tests?
So we have a couple questions. One was, can you explain the variable calculator section again?
Sure.
And then another one is about a quality improvement project for DMP.
Okay. So the variable calculator, so you just go to management and you go to variable calculator. Okay. You can see what it does. Transforms your data to create a new variable. Click on that. What you have to do is add a variable name. So, okay, so total score. Either select the variables one by one and use the kind of keypad there, or you can, what's very common is to get an average score of items or a sum score of items. So to get a sum score of items, you click on sum score, okay? You select the items in that sum, okay? Just for the heck of it, okay? Well, I'll be confusing here, okay? So I've named it. I'm adding these 4 things and click submit. And then it will create a total score or the name, whatever you name the score, okay? And it'll be sitting right there. And you can do that again often for pre-test or post-test and things of that sort. Okay. Quality improvement. Does somebody want to talk about that or ask questions about that?
Yep, the question is, I have a quality improvement project for my DMP program and I'm not sure how to go about it.
Okay, so what is I'll call it the Pico light question. What are you seeking to examine? What are you doing? Why don't you just come on there, Patience?
Patience, can you raise your hand, please? And we'll unmute you. Oh,
So
here
I'm
we go.
sure there's other folks that are. Hi, Patience, how you doing? Hello, Patience. You can unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Well. So what are you seeking to examine in your quality improvement project?
The picot question is about hand washing improvement to reduce infections.
Okay.
So like healthcare workers compliance, education and compliance about how to we all know that hand washing is the number one infection control.
Right.
But most healthcare workers, we don't do what we're supposed to do. So
What?
I know that.
No. All right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna cancel that medical exam later on. Okay. So did you measure infections before and after this education or training?
The reason why I went into it is that I work at a hospital, and on our floor, for some reason, most of us got COVID. Yeah, most of us, got COVID. So, and I realized that some of the nurses and stuff were not washing their hands properly, like we were too busy and all that.
Right.
So that's where I was coming from because of that. But I don't know how to go about this.
Okay. So we have to figure out what variable we're measuring and what is the level of measurement of that variable. So you're measuring infection rates, correct?
Yes.
And did you do some hand washing education or re-education or something of that sort?
Yeah, I did the education, hand washing education.
Fine. Did you look at infections before your training
Mm.
or just after?
That's where I'm stuck.
Yeah. So really, have you conducted the study yet, or are you going to conduct it?
I'm going to conduct it.
Fine. So what you should do is, I mean, and not that, I mean, to be realistic, I mean, is the needle really gonna move that much? I don't know. But let's assume education is gonna be effective. Okay? What you want to do is look at infections, and are you talking about nurses getting infected, or are you talking about the patients getting infected?
Who was the nurses getting infected?
Fine. So what you want to do is, for example, and then how are you going to measure infections? You're going to measure calling in sick, like for a cold or a COVID, or how are you going to measure infections in nurses? You're going to ask them how many times they've been sick. What are you going to
Okay.
do? So you have to, they say, call it operationalize infections. The construct, the thing you're measuring is infections, but there's
Mhm.
lots of ways of doing that, right?
Right.
I could survey them and ask them. I could look how many people call in sick, and there's 10 other ways of doing it. So you have to figure out what is the common way to measure infections in hospitals. So I would just say, you know, I would just say, I would go here. So what are common ways to measure infections in nurses at a hospital? Something of this sort, okay?
Okay.
So surveillance, review medical records, signs and symptoms, daily rounds, okay? Health records. So there's different ways. So think about it, okay?
Okay.
So you have to measure it, okay? That's one thing. Then let's just say, I'm going to make it simple. Let's call it sick days. Imagine they're really sick. We'll say, okay, hey, for a month before, okay, I'm going to measure, out of all the shifts, okay, all right, out of all the shifts, let's just say there's 100 shifts, okay. How many shifts are called out on? How many
Right.
should be calling out? Let's say it's 5 shifts, okay. Then you do the intervention, okay? Then you have month after, you have another 100 shifts, and you look at that number, okay? And you can compare the percentage of call outs before your intervention and the percent of call outs after your prevention.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay, so for all of these things, when you're doing quality improvement or any kind of this business, you have to figure out what is the variable that you're measuring. The construct, infection, okay, and how you measure that has to be tied together. For example, when you're measuring emotional intelligence, okay, I want to see if emotional intelligence changes after, okay, some intervention. Well, how are you measuring emotional intelligence? It's this scale with 5 questions. That's how I'm measuring it. How are you measuring emotional intelligence? Whatever, okay? So you have to tie the broad construct, okay, to how you're measuring. That's critical. And then typically measure before, measure after, okay? So that's how to do it. And if you want to, hop on a consult, happy to consult with you all to talk about operationalizing your variables. Because if you don't have a way of measuring things, you're not going to get started, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And since I'm on that topic, I mean, I should, let me just see here from the current slide. So let me just put out a few things here. So for a consult with me, you can scan that QR code. Samantha can answer student questions. Also, you can email Samantha. Okay. You can email Ashley for faculty if you want a demonstration, if you want a trial. Melissa can answer any questions that Ashley and Samantha cannot. Okay. Here's our phone number, 888-383-6639. If you want that lit review pilot, okay, so you can contact me directly at intellectus360.com. All right.
Mhm.
And I'm going to ask you for your research questions or your study aims and your articles. Okay. And then we're
Mhm.
just going to have some fun by saying, okay, you've either completed your lit review or you're working on your lit review, and we're going to send you some our lit review app results and see how
Mm.
that works out for you. Okay. So
Okay.
if you want to take advantage of that special opportunity to be part of that
Mm.
pilot, please contact me, or you can contact Melissa or call us. Okay.
Okay. Let me. Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, Patience. Okay, very pretty name too, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty. So,
We've had a few people share their projects. If you can
oh, okay.
refresh and see if you have any notifications in there.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Carrie, Regis. Okay, Carrie. Let's get to this. So, load project, take it over. Okay. Okay. All right. So, okay, so we have a lot to do here. Carrie, you want to come on?
You raise your hand, Carrie. There we go.
Hi, Carrie. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, how are you, Jim?
Good, good, good. All right, so you got a couple things going on here, okay? So one is, you have all these questions, which are fine up here. Well, you go from question 1 to question 20. Then you have these other ones here. So really, I mean, what I would do is start cleaning, okay?
Right,
All right, so I'm not gonna do all the cleaning, but I'll do some of the cleaning. So you probably don't need start date in this kind of business, correct?
right, correct, yes.
So I'm under, let me just go back here. So I'm under edit data. Okay, grab some of these things, right click, remove columns.
Okay,
Probably you don't need any of this stuff.
right,
Okay, all right, remove columns. Okay, last two numbers. Okay, so these things are kind of, I like to change these things. So again, this is probably the ID number, okay?
right,
All right, and I'm gonna remove this row in a minute, but okay, so, but let's just keep going over here. So, and then these things, so this is probably good here. I mean, these you can just, just, age,
right,
okay, gender, okay, ethnic, okay, education. Okay, and then let's get rid of some of these things. And then really, employment, okay. All right. Experience. All right, so I mean, these are just kind of things
right,
you gotta do. All right. And then, okay, so great. So pre-confidence, so I like all this, pre-confidence, they all make sense to me.
yep,
Confidence. So now I go over here. Is this the post-test ID?
yes,
Okay, so this is, let's just call it ID 2. Okay, and then, and then this is like confidence post 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
correct, yes,
Okay, so confidence post 1, confidence post 2, confidence post 3, confidence post 4, confidence post 5. Okay, then we have some other things going on here. This is just post-test stuff.
so it's confidence and then the intrinsic motivation inventory, that has 23 points, 23
Right.
questions.
Okay, fine. So, all right, so, okay, and then what is this last one?
That is, so open-ended questions, there should
Yeah.
be 5 of them.
Okay, so I'm just gonna call it open 1, open 2, open 3, open 4, open 5. Hey, 5. Okay. Hey, open 6. Am I doing something wrong here?
No, 6, I'm sorry. Yeah, 6.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So at least we understand what these variables are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and then I want to get rid of this column here, this row here, okay?
Right.
Okay, so now when I click save, so okay. So now we have age, that's really nominal, okay? Excuse me, pardon me, ordinal, my bad. Under blah, 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 looks good.
Right.
So you want to treat these levels correctly so the tables come out pretty. Gender, hunky-dory, ethnicity, hunky-dory, education, also ordinal. High school, master's, associate, right up there. Okay, maybe certificate, maybe there. Okay. Hey, wait a second. Okay. All right. So, okay, an experience, just no employment, unemployed, part-time, full-time, self-employed. Okay, we'll just keep it there for the moment. Okay, so the confidence though, all right, so really the trick here is that for all these confidence things,
Mm-hmm.
we need to turn these all into numbers, okay? Because you want to get an average confidence, okay? So the trick here is to recode multiple. And I want to recode all these confidence and the post confidence.
Right.
Okay. So there should be 10 of them. 1, 2. Okay, cool. And I want it to be scale. And hopefully, if this is all good, so not at all certain, certain, so fairly certain for almost all steps, certain for only a few steps, probably here.
Mhm.
This certain for a few steps. So not certain for a few steps, certain for a good number of steps, certain for almost all steps, absolutely certain. Good?
Yeah, not at all, certain for only a few, fairly certain, certain for almost all.
Right.
And
And
then,
then absolute.
yep.
Okay. So we're going to just change these to 1 to 5. Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Guess what we're going to do with those next? We're going to create a composite score for those.
Okay.
Okay. So variable calculator. So I have confidence pre. Okay. I like mean composites because I know what a 4 is. That means, okay, almost always confident or whatever. So here's my pre-confidence average. Okay. And then I'm going to do a post-confidence average. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Post 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, what's that? Okay.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. Okay, now I have confidence. And then I have this, what's this whole one with all of these business going on here? What is this?
That's the intrinsic motivation.
Okay. Okay. Are any reverse coded?
Meaning,
They're asked in the opposite way, or we just average them all up.
I think you average them all up.
Okay. All right. First thing you do is you got to turn them all to numbers. So again, you're in the recode multiple land. Okay. You're clicking on all of these things. Would you say there's 23 of them?
23, yeah.
Okay, hunky dory. So one to be scale. So the trick here is these have to be in order. Okay. So 7, well, they don't have to be in order, but we need 7. We don't need we don't need labels. We just need the numbers. Okay. So 7, this is just a 4, this is just a 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, they don't have to be in order, but
Mhm.
okay. So now they're all numbers. I'm putting them in the same variable. Okay, now what are we going to do with these guys? We can either sum them or average them, okay?
Mhm.
This was intrinsic motivation.
Intrinsic motivation. Yeah.
Okay, and then we just sum them, okay? All
Okay.
right, same thing. Okay, so, and really, your job is basically done. We want to do 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
Descriptive statistics on demographics. Is there
Yeah.
a difference on confidence pre to post? And describe intrinsic motivation post.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
So we go to analysis. All we do is go to descriptives and get the demographics in there. Okay, we don't want all this business. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's 1. There's
Okay.
graphics, all pretty. Our paired t-test. Putting in confidence, we just down below, confidence pre versus confidence post. Okay, here there is a significant difference that P is less than 0.05. We can see confidence post is higher than confidence pre.
Yep.
You have to put this in your own voice. The assumptions met, blah, blah, blah. And then descriptives on the intrinsic motivation. And on average, they score 120. Okay. They
Mm-hmm.
range from 24 to 161. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's it. Download it.
Okay.
That's a $2,500 job right there. Done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're
Oh
welcome.
my goodness.
That's it. And just download it. And it's actually in your thing. So yeah. So all I would ask is tell one other person about the webinar. Okay. So share it with them.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
you know
telling
what?
all my peers about it for sure.
Tell your peers. All right. But that's basically it. We have
Yeah.
to, very common thing we had just did here, which
Mhm.
is manage some of the data. Okay. Take a minute to do that.
Yeah.
Create some of the composite scores. Okay.
Right.
Conduct descriptives, the t-test, and then the intrinsic motivation. We're done.
Perfect. Excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Be well.
Oh, thank you.
All righty.
Hmm.
Okay, so any final Q&A questions?
If you have any, feel free to put them in. General things, we will send the recording to everyone. We're going to have links to all the other webinars in the recording, and then we'll have info on if you want to be part of that lit review class.
Yes. I'm sure there are several people there um, for that lit review. And again, for your faculty, happy to give you demo trials. You can see how easy this is relative to most of us who were trained on SPSS 30 years ago. You know, this is just a different animal. Samantha helps with students, Ashley with faculty, Melissa, everything else, phone number, some website stuff. We also have courses if you want to upskill around t-tests or other kinds of stuff. And then again, if you want to participate in the lit review pilot, come on down. Okay. Look to be very helpful to you there. Okay. And I think with that, I think we will, if there's any final questions? I don't see any.
Nope.
Terrific. You will get updates on other webinars that are coming. Please do share it with others. If everyone shared it with 5 other people, that would be great. You know, whether they come or not, but at least you can tell them that if they're working on lit review, quantitative or qualitative, you know, we can help, or DMPs. Okay. All right. Yep. Thank you, patients. Thank you all for your attention, and have an awesome rest of the week. Cheers all. Bye-bye.